St. Louis, you up? Welcome to Battlehawks Hub postgame. We are riding high after our St. Louis Battlehawks beat the San Antonio Brahmas 39-13. Welcome on in. We're presented by Hot Shots. Find yours, hotshotsnet.com, by DraftKings. The crown is yours, and by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. 39-13 win over the San Antonio Brahmas. I'm Luke Slabaugh. Hello, St. Louis. Love ya. That's Judy Strawder celebrating Memorial Day weekend. And Judy, in my humble opinion, probably hands down the best game of the year.
All right. So I told you, I have a lot of opinions on this game. No, they did amazing. We have our, what they could do better on offense, defense, yada, yada, yada. Do you remember how I said the other day that, well, let's say they do super well and they put in a backup quarterback. And I'm like, well, they could do Silvers, but what if they did Cordero? Guess what they didn't do? It's almost like they watched and they said, Judy, you need to slow your roll. We are not going to do what you want to do.
That was your takeaway from this game, Judith? Judith.
Yeah, I mean, I might be a little full of myself, but that is absolutely, and honestly, I think Brandon Silvers is better than Max Duggan.
I don't. However, what is this team fighting for right now? The playoffs are already clinched. We know they're playing it in a couple weeks in the Battle Dome. This next Week 10 game against DC is more just, survive. But it's about putting good plays on tape for these players. Brandon Silvers just turned 31 from Troy University. I mean, he's got this is his lifeline. This is some of this Kevon Latulis from Missouri State, the leading rusher tonight.
That kid has his name after name after name after name after name. He was what was up tonight. But that's exactly kind of my point, though, that it's okay, we decided to bring in Brandon Silvers, and it was all of these very talented people came out of nowhere because it was the second string practiced. And then they got to come in tonight. And honestly, they outshone they did. I thought that our second string altogether I was very impressed.
And granted, you're going up against a San Antonio team that has an interim head coach. They're hurting. They've had some quarterback play. Kellen Mond back in after the guy who replaced him was scratched this week. So Kevin Hogan, I believe it was. And so, yes, the team's kind of rickety, but yes, you're right. The second string put a lot of good stuff on tape. And that's what this is about. It's about elevating these guys so that they have a chance at the next level. And so Brandon Silvers, he throws a beautiful ball, 7 to 10, 100 yards, has a touchdown to Hakeem Butler, great pump fake. And so passer rating of 135. If that's what we got, if that's the number 2 option, then I'm taking a look at the comments right now on YouTube. Samuel Howe asks if this was a home game for the Brahmas in St. Louis. And now this brings me to an interesting point because technically, yes, it was like Battlehawks at Brahmas. And my assumption was that the league was gifting St. Louis another home game because attendance. Yes. You need butts and seats. However, my research also shows that the Alamo Dome is booked for the next 2 to 3 weeks with all those public high school graduations. So congratulations to the students of Southside High School who received their diplomas today at the Alamo Dome and were not subjected to developmental league football. This is probably the best time of your life. Please lock in, be safe at prom, all that good stuff.
But exactly what you're talking about, the conflicts of scheduling. That's why we get the home game in 2 weeks. Who knows that after this weekend, we might be awesome enough to secure actually first seed. But because we knew last week that, Audi Field was not available, that we just got it. And that was exactly kind of what happened here, that too much stuff was going on. They couldn't do it. And they're like, you know what? St. Louis, we really like you. We're kind of partial to you, so we'll let you have another home game.
I think that this game showed just how multidimensional the offense can be, with more than 400 yards total and the third best rushing performance of the year. I mean, they ran all over Houston in week 1, but a cool 169. They're going 5.3 yards per carry. And then again, like Max Duggan just playing a half. They threw early, which is something that you had criticized Phil McGagan that they hadn't done, but they came out getting Max his reps, so he was confident. That's probably the last half of football he plays before the postseason. That's what they were talking about on the broadcasts. And in my view, this could not have gone any smoother. Just get out healthy, get out clean, and almost put a 40 burger on them. I'm bullish. I'm bullish.
And I am super skeptical. So I love all of your positivity about this. And honestly, we shouldn't be anything but positive. All I did was make notes tonight about all the things that I was like, can't believe we're doing this. That's interesting. Yeah, had a lot of those expressions that happened tonight. I will tell you, the second Silvers came in, I was like, well, all I had wished for was Cordero, just to see him one time. However, I actually am like crazy impressed by Silvers. I think that maybe him and Max should go toe to toe during practice this week and see who might be the better option. And here's why. I have 2 reasons why. Number 1, his numbers are better. Number 2, clearly he practices with the second string, because I actually had to look up all the numbers of the people that he passed to, and that Kavion Laturas, had no idea who that kid was until Brandon Silvers came in and, made a thing. So it's almost like our second string is so hungry that it's almost worth, like, let's just see what happens. And let's also be super honest in the fact that all of our second stringers scored the majority of the points.
They definitely rose to the occasion. It was a 21-10 game at half. And really, the only blow-ups I saw live were on special teams, particularly that kickoff right before the half. It was returned to St. Louis's 9-yard line by Jayden Sheridan
that
of the
was
Brahmas.
bad.
86-yard return. They get out of it. Tristan Vizcaino with a short field goal made it 21-10. And then the kickoff to start the next half went to the St. Louis 45. And a couple of times where Kyle Caskey, who's been on this show, the special teams coordinator, running backs coach, was kind of in the spotlight. There was also an extra point conversion where Seneca Wallace, I believe, was mic'd up. And you could hear them talking to Brandon Silvers in the huddle, and they had to call timeout because there was an unclear instruction. And I believe it was Coach Wallace who said, we're playing a game with tiebreakers right now because of the total points factoring into the league tiebreaker if it came to that point. Not that
but
it necessarily
doesn't matter.
Yeah, they ended up
we were fortunate enough to get we were fortunate enough to get the award, and oh my gosh, you just already said so many things that make me feel a certain type of way. And the fact that, okay, you put in Silvers, he did incredible. Everybody that lined up behind him also did amazing. So whoever our secondary coach is, let's try to get him. Let's try to see what he is doing on Wednesday or Thursday during lunchtime, because I kind of want to know what his strategy is. Our secondary, I am super impressed. because in the first half, I was not very impressed with our defense, wasn't super impressed with our offense. But then all of a sudden, we got the hungry people in. We got the people that were playing for a purpose, playing for a mission. Even though this game technically didn't matter, once we put in all those secondary folks, I mean, we just added points on points on points on points on points.
Points on points. And in terms of the defensive secondary, Martin Bayless is the secondary coach. Actually, a former player for.
Oh, see, I love this. Look at Larry's comment.
What did Larry say? We should
Larry agrees with me.
He did. Martin Bayless, by the way, the secondary coach here, at least the defensive backs coach for the Battlehawks, made his debut in 1984 with the Big Red, the St. Louis Football Cardinals. Fun little fact there for the chat. All right.
Love fun facts.
When we come back, you mentioned the secondary and the defense coming up with big plays. There's one moment I want to point to. I'm sure it's going to be a very special moment. They celebrated it on the Fox telecast, and that is all coming up.
Can we also still bring up the fact that we never go for more than 1 point and that only our secondary can get point conversions like that? Okay, let's do our commercial break, and then that's the thing, because
it's not
that's
a break,
the thing.
Judith, it's a celebration.
It is a celebration because we get
chicken.
Hot Shots Lee's, Hot Shots Lee's, and Game King. Hot Shots Lee's, Game King.
So first things first, Judy. When I'm, well, actually, you know what? We got to save that for the next block because we have an announcement coming up as well for the next 2 weeks. The show's going to look a little bit different. But first, Hot Shots. Thank you, Hot Shots, for sponsoring this show. Throw up the graphic with the girl, Ethan. Can you show? Yeah, there she is. Hey, look at that. Sunday, June 1st, 35th anniversary party for Hot Shots. Hot Shots is St. Louis's home for all the games, all the time since 1990. That's before I was born. That's before Max Duggan was born. Even what's his face? Brandon Silvers. Oh yeah, there's a parking lot party. There's pics with the Budweiser Clydesdales. Got to be careful going up against those big boys. And St. Louis City, SC, some celeb bartenders got prizes all day. Wow, look at all those sponsors. Sports Hub STL is so proud to be affiliated with Hot Shots. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Also want to give a shout out to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken with the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box. You can score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets, plus get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for only $8.99, only at Lee's Famous for Chicken. Also, DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code STL Sports. That's all one word, STL Sports. For new customers to play $5, get $50 back in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
The defense for the Battlehawks held its own tonight, especially against the passing game, holding quarterback Kellen Mond to just tick over 100 yards. I want to take you to the second quarter. St. Louis is already up 9-0, and San Antonio has moved the ball pretty consistently with no points on the board. Ja'Shawn Corbin gets a handoff for San Antonio, and punching it out in his first UFL game, corner Micah Abraham. He recovers.
Donnie Abraham's son.
Donnie Abraham, the defensive coordinator's son. He is pumping his fists in the booth. They showed on the broadcast going crazy. Micah signed with the Battlehawks 10 days ago, went to Marshall and played college football there.
He's number 21. He's number 21, right?
Yes, he returns it 62 yards to the house, makes it a 15-0 game. That is what this game is all about, Judy.
So I want to tell all the fans out there that wonder why Bruce Gronkowski left and then Donnie Abrams stays, because honestly, they're both like crazy, stupid, talented individuals. Like, they reinvigorate your love for football. Those two individuals, they absolutely do. But you do kind of have to wonder, like, okay, they yank Gronkowski, but they don't yank Donnie Abrams. Like, well, tonight now we know. It's because this is his son's shot. And he might have said to every NFL offer ever, I'm just going to wait this out. Check on me next year. Check on me the year after that. So Micah Abrams, I will say he is our player of the game.
He is our player of the game, which has no sponsorship yet, but just contact us, Sports Hub STL, and we'll try to get that sponsored next season, which Judy has already said she's on board for. All right,
yeah, absolutely. Just so everybody knows. And I have people tell me in real life that I'm a lot to handle and a lot to deal with. And Luke has offered to take me on for one more season.
Putting words in my mouth. Micah Abraham was drafted in the 6th round by the Indianapolis Colts a couple of years ago, and he's bounced around the NFL. And so, to your point, this is also, we talked with Kyle Kasky about this. The goal is to get to the league, and for coaches, you got to put your best stuff on tape as well. So this is for pride. This is for the name on the back of your jersey. This is everything, and it's also for the community here in St. Louis. So that's why I say you're riding a 5-game win streak. You are sticking it a season sweep of San Antonio. This, for me, is the best game of the year.
I would have to agree with that because we had so many of our key players get key plays. And then the guys who are looking to shoot their shot, they got it today. They just nailed it. They just killed it. If we want to look at first stats, second stats, like of the halves, our secondary, I mean, like I was very impressed. I'm almost ready to put them on the field. Not only next week, but in 2 weeks and the week after. And I say that like lightly and loosely and kind of seriously. There's a lot of emotion mix in that. I was just impressed with how hungry they were and how well they played. So it's kind of hard not to want to see them again.
It's going to be really interesting to see how the DC Defenders come out next week for the regular season finale. That is at Audi Field in the Navy Yard District of Washington, D.C.
And guess who gets to be there?
Make the announcement. The next 2 weeks of Battlehawks football, Week 10 at Audi Field, and the first round playoff game, the XFL Conference Championship against the DC Defenders at the Battle Dome. I will be there. Now, for those of you, full disclosure, like I do some baseball stuff out here on the East Coast. I do a bunch of different stuff. My hands in a lot of different pots. However, the next 2 weeks, and hopefully for the championship game in St. Louis, I'll be on that field. So ideally, we bring this game at the Battle Dome, this post-game show, right after the clock hits 0. Maybe pull some people in, make this more of a dynamic thing down there at the AstroTurf of the Dome in America Center. But yes, we're going to try out some new technology down at Audi Field. I got a lot to do this Memorial Day weekend to prepare for that. And really looking forward to it.
Luke,
it's going to be a good time.
This is so exciting. That you're going to walk onto Audi Field and you're going to be like, like the Battlehawks stands and people are going to be like, yo, you need to slow your roll. And you're going to say, well, you just don't know what we're capable of. Did you not just see our secondary line? So if you thought you were worried about us as a team, go watch that film on our secondary line. Y'all be in trouble. And I know you would never say that in verbatim, the way that I just put it out there, but essentially it's true. There is no argument for any team out there anymore. Watching our secondary play, honestly, they outplayed. They did outplay our primary. So nobody has any argument. Nobody has any rebuttal, like nothing. We're just solid.
St. Louis, second string, came through in the clutch. They also have the second best championship odds in the UFL, I believe, behind the Michigan Panthers. So far, at least that's what the odds makers say in Las Vegas. It's certainly trending that way. And
So me and the Panthers kind of like have a thing because, you know, as a Northwest Lions fan here in Jefferson County, kind of love the Lions. I love that Detroit's always the underdog. But Jake Bates, I mean, he made it to the Lions and he like nailed it. And then all of a sudden this year they're awesome. I don't know. I think Michigan, I don't know. I'm like, it's kind of like a love-hate relationship for me. Like, I love that Detroit has a chance to finally get a championship because they deserve it. I mean, we stole it from them in 06 with the World Series. Like, Detroit deserves it. Doesn't mean that I'm not selfish enough to love it for ourselves.
it's interesting is I've heard a lot of people bring up Northwest High School the last couple of weeks, and maybe this is me just being the uncultured St. Louis. And I used to play baseball out of like South County, went to Jefferson County, and like played out of Melville and Fox and Seckman and all that. And I can't for the life of me remember hearing about a Northwest High School. Did it ever like have a different name or like a different because of the like?
No, we just finally got good-ish. We just got good-ish. Like we used to be. So my sons played football for a number of years, and we watch all the other sports with the high school. There's something to be desired, but no. This year, this 2024-2025 school year, sports year, all of a sudden it's like, well, they're not the worst. So now people are talking about us because we're actually starting to win.
Best of luck to them.
Even the lacrosse team, even our lacrosse team is starting to win.
Man, lacrosse is just a whole life, like it's a whole way of life out in Maryland and Virginia and Pennsylvania and all that.
It is.
Man.
But for whatever reason, here in Jefferson County, a lot of kids love it.
Yes, they do. My final note tonight on the Battlehawks, some notes I wanted to mention. No sacks given up by the offensive line. Granted, the passing game was kind of, touch and go. Joel Klatt, the color commentator, who we've been trying to get on this show since the early iterations of these post-game shows, and I love him. Like, I love everything that he's done. He was gushing about the offensive line, no penalties by the O-line, and no penalties by this team until garbage time. The final couple minutes, Chris Garrett jumped off sides. That was the only penalty that this team had. So they're playing clean, they are healthy, and all the momentum, all the good omens going into this regular season finale in Washington, D.C. A chance to finish 8-2 on the regular season. Final thoughts, Judy Strawder.
Well, I mean, you talked about a passing game. Well, let's be honest. Brandon Silvers was better than Max Duggan tonight. It's just, I don't know what it is about me and this whole quarterback thing and our OC. I apparently am like, what do you call it? Like the evil queen or the evil witch about it. Like, I have so many just jabs on everything that they do. Brandon Silvers came in today and like, now I want him to start next week. I also still am really upset that like I literally mentioned the scenario of what happened this week. And I said, please, please, please put in Cordero. And what did they do? They put in Silvers. I mean, I almost kind of feel like it's a thing against me. But I honestly, I thought Silvers played great. Obviously, again, we're not going to pass on Max. But we still really, I mean, honestly, when we end this and we like really take a serious look at the game, the secondary line scored all the points. They did all the things. I think that that is something that the coaching staff really has to look at. As a matter of fact, I was so impressed with the secondary coaching staff that I'm like, let's email Stoli and see if we can even get them, because I want to know what they do, that these guys all just came in on a whim and just nailed it. So it's just, yeah, but I don't know. Like, topsy-turvy. I'm in a mix. I am in limbo. Obviously I'm happy we won the game. A lot of things happened though this game that I have a lot of thoughts. All my thoughts didn't even get talked about tonight. So when we do our preview show, I've got more.
Well, it shows that you care.
Yeah, Luke's like, yay, I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like, it shows, I mean, you can be the biggest skeptic until they actually do the thing. Once they actually get over the hump and bring a championship to St. Louis, then we rest. But I understand being on your toes, waiting for that shoe to drop. Like, I get it. I'm just not there. Like, I'm happy for the guys, and I'm happy for my people.
Luke, what do you think the chances are? And we'll talk about this on Wednesday or Thursday whenever we tape again. So sit on this. Our secondary, I mean, like literally, they killed it. They kind of made our, starting line kind of look like a bunch of chumps. Honestly, they really did. Our secondary line, they just, I was impressed. I mean, like, I was so impressed, like, I had to look up numbers of players, and I know every number on this team. Will they get a chance next week in Audi Field when you're there on the turf, figuring things out? Are they going to get a chance?
You talking first string or second string?
Second string.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. This game, I don't want to say meaningless, but it's, you want to have your best players available for the conference championship. Full stop. And that means that Sailors probably shouldn't be touching the ball next week. Probably means Duggan shouldn't be touching the ball next week. Means probably Steven Gonzalez and Chris Garrett and Chris Peyton-Jones. Like,
a lot of those players didn't play tonight. They didn't play tonight either after.
You need a full bill of health. You need a clean bill of health.
It didn't even take the whole like first half to do that. Like, it was, about 12 minutes into the second quarter that they put in the second stringers. And those guys, like, they took their chance and ran with it. And I guess if we're going to call next week, but technically this week, like, it didn't matter. I don't know. I want to see them play again. I want to see tonight again next week.
That would be best case scenario.
Yeah. So anybody that is really interested to hear about these secondary players and what we can do and what we will do, and the fact that, I mean, we're all in on winning a championship, please watch our show that will drop on Friday, because we'll talk more about it. Luke knows that I'm never short of words. Also, though, thank you to every veteran here in St. Louis and all around the world and the country. Goodness gracious, we are so thankful for your freedom. So I changed out my blue hair for my red, white, and blue hair for this Memorial Day weekend. So thank you all so much.
I absolutely appreciate that as well. And I echo that sentiment as well. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone. Please be safe. Have a good weekend. And that'll do it. for Battlehawks Hub postgame. Final score, St. Louis 39, San Antonio 13. We're going to DC next week, Friday,
Yeah.
7 o'clock kickoff on Fox against the DC Defenders. Will be interesting to break down that matchup, probably coming Wednesday or Thursday here on Sports Hub STL. That is a Friday kickoff. I'm Luke Slabaugh saying I love you, St. Louis, and Judy Strawder. Magic words.